Brad Williams, Excel primed. Let's take a look here at relative rows. What are we doing here? Let me just show you what we got here. We have what I call the anatomy. This is pretty much going to give us a map of the output here. What you're going to see throughout this tutorial are the outputs to the left, and you're going to see different colors here. This color should be a little darker green. Not a big deal. But you're going to see light green and dark green. And way over here to your right, you're going to see a write-up. And it's pretty much what I'm going to discuss. Relative rows, bunch of different ways to do it. I prefer this route right here. This is simple. This particular configuration, you can see how it works. Row B5 to B11 minus B5 plus 1. That's just going to give us, well, here's the deal. When we do this, I'm going to be using F9. If you've not taken my other courses, take them, because I go over this repeatedly and I don't want to continue repeating over and over. Here we go. Reference row 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. These are arrays. And you can see row B5 is going to be what? F9. We're going to go 1 minus 1 plus 1. Go down here, number 2. Well, it spills. If you screw this up, you know everything else is going to be screwed up. Here, all we're doing is saying C5, C5, 1. C5, C6, 2. Array, F9, 1, 2, 2. We'll touch on arrays later. Here, this pound sign indicates reference to a table. Table pound symbol. The pound symbol in Excel is used to refer to a structured reference in a table. A structured reference is a way of referencing specified cells or range cells in a table. In this case, the formula equals B5 pound. The pound symbol is used to refer to the entire column of the table where C5 is located, okay? Here's the expression equals row B5 row index is a formula used in Excel. How about we just go here? Using spreadsheets to calculate the number of rows in a range of cells. Here's what the parts mean. Row B5, this returns the row number of the last row in the range B5. Index B5 pound 1, 1. This returns a reference to the first row in the range B5 pound. Row index B5 1, 1. This returns the row number of the first row in the range B5. Row B5 pound, row index B5 1, 1. This calculates the difference between the row number of the last row in the reference B5 pound and the row number of the first row in the range B5. Row B5 row, this adds 1 to the difference calculated above to account for the fact that the range includes both the first and last rows. We're going to just go through and look. Reference, F9, that'll be 7. And then we go here, index, reference, F9, and it should be 1. Similar to here, exactly same as B, but here we're using that pound sign because it's presumed to be a table. If you look here, you're going to see the exact same thing other than this pound sign, right? We can use a sequence. This is a means of taking this rows here, but here we're just going to go B5 to B11 and use a sequence function. Sequence function allows you to generate a list of sequential numbers in any array. So here's the anatomy. Here's the formula, this column here. Then here is this other example, and so on and so forth. The syntax, Excel spits out, all right? So row is a reference, row is a reference. Well, we're using row twice. And then here is the actual, there's the row we're referring to. Here's the answer, 1. And then if you want to go down and reference or review what we're doing, for example, what does index do? Returns a value based on its column and row numbers. Sequence allows you to generate a list of sequential numbers. Row B511, look at sequence right here. rows, B511. That is the rows. Look here, rows, syntax, or the order. So you're going to see rows, columns, none. Start, none. Step, none. And you can see there's nothing else there. And then we have rows just below it, and that is B5 to B11. The columns, pretty much the same thing. We're going to use this columns minus columns. It's the exact same thing as here. And it's going to spill. In here, we're saying -1. Here's the spill. Notice how it's in blue. And then over here, just below, I just took this same structure here, and I just used it for columns. On your far right, pretty much what I just discussed, but I encourage you to read it because I'm not going to microscope this to death. I'm not going to read every word. There's examples in here, similar to what I just did. There's an introduction or a reintroduction to relative rows because we covered this thoroughly in the beginner formula course. Brad Williams, Excel Prime, more to come.